Peace, 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 and blessings. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Whatever your culture prefers. Welcome to Lacking Knowledge TV. Peace and blessings to all my melanated, aboriginal, black brothers and sisters spread throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and blessings. Giving honor to all the honor and glory to the ancestors for the sweats on their back, blood, sweat, and tears that they gave building America and got absolutely nothing in return. Superstar NBA player Kyrie Irving and former superstar NBA player Dwight Howard has decided to have this whole back and forth thing about players not playing because of the so-called racial situation that's going on here in America. And I'm going to be breaking down this segment from the television show Get Up. I just want you people to understand that this channel is geared towards black people, no offense. So if you do get offended by the comments and my commentary breaking down the situation, you can kiss my black ass. Okay? Now, the first thing that we have to understand is that these athletes and these television pundits, especially the so-called black athletes and the so-called black television pundits, are nothing but puppets being controlled by the powers that be. Everything that you see on television is scripted. You have to understand that the NBA, the NFL, the fucking nightly news, CNN, Fox, every single thing that comes on television is scripted. Okay? It's a fucking soap opera. The NBA is probably just as real as the fucking WWE. Okay? Everything is scripted. It's all about storylines. It's all about trying to get the hottest topic, the hottest story. So the NBA has decided to join the movement of the divide and conquer. The NBA is obviously trying to doing their part, and it's trying to start this so-called race war that we have going on right now. And we're going to break down this bullshit and get to the bottom of it.
During a call with nearly 100 players Friday night. On the 90-minute call, Irving reportedly made the case that resuming the season would be detrimental to the players' work on social justice and police reform. Dwight Howard agrees. In a statement to CNN, he said, in part, I agree with Kyrie. Basketball or entertainment, period, isn't needed at this moment and will only be a distraction. Sure, it might not distract us, the players, but we have resources at hand the majority of our community don't have. And the smallest distraction for them can start a trickle-down effect that may never stop. Especially with the way the climate is now, I would love nothing more than to win my very first NBA championship, but the unity of my people would be an even bigger championship. It's just too beautiful.
Okay, so now all of a sudden, these NBA players actually give a damn about the unity of their people. If these disgusting NBA players and these professional athletes actually gave a damn about the unity of their people, they wouldn't be so getting fucked up the ass for no Vaseline by these fucking endorsement companies. Nike, Gatorade, Reebok, Jordan brand, fucking, they wouldn't be getting, you gotta understand, once you sign a contract to be a professional athlete, you don't control shit. The only thing that you control as being a professional athlete is how to hold it when you take a piss. Okay? How do you wipe your ass when you take a shit? That's about it. Okay? They can't just go back to the community and build schools. They can't just do certain things to build their community, to uplift their people, because they have to impress, or because they signed their name on a dotted line when they signed those endorsements. Therefore, they're corporate slaves. They're corporate whores. That's what these athletes are. They're nothing but whores. Okay? Professional sports in America is nothing but a pimp game. Nothing but a pimp game. And these athletes are the whores, man. So you can't sit here and tell me that all of a sudden, now these athletes are worried about black people, about their community, the hoods that they came from. Okay? Now, you can make an argument that they have these different charity organizations. It's going to be a lot of people out there talking shit. How could you say that? Plenty of these athletes have charitable contributions to the inner city. Yeah, fuck that. Okay? Like I said, they have to have anything that they do with their money. Okay? Because 9 times out of 10, they're not controlling their money. They got some fucking white devil in the backgrounds cutting the checks for them. To the fucking very clothes that they wear. Everything is controlled, man. Like I said, they're corporate whores. They have no freedom to do anything without getting permission from some goddamn white devil. Understand that shit.
Pass up. Steven Jackson, meanwhile, offered these thoughts.
Playing basketball is going to do one thing. Take all the attention off the task at hand right now and what we fighting for. Everybody going to be worrying about the playoffs. They're going to have all that blasted all over the TV. And nobody's going to be talking about getting justice for all these senseless murders by these police. And nobody's going to be focusing on the task at hand, bro.
Okay, what's the task at hand? What's the end game? What are we fighting for? Okay, I want these athletes to answer that fucking question. What's the task at hand? Justice for who? Because last time I checked, when I looked at the fucking evening news this evening, you still got niggas killing niggas every single day. What about the outrage about that? What about the senseless killing of women, children, and babies and innocent people getting shot down over a pair of goddamn Jordans, over a goddamn $10, $20 bag of weed? What about that? Where's the outrage about that? Where are these fucking athletes at about that? Huh? Why aren't we doing something constructive to build these goddamn communities? Now, it ain't about trying to get no handout. Now, I understand that these motherfucking athletes, they made it against all odds, allegedly. 9 times out of the 10, these motherfuckers could have been building a lab for all we goddamn know. They could have been crossbred. They could have been arranged. These seeds could have been. We don't fucking know where these people come from. We don't. We don't know where these motherfuckers came from. Okay? Because you can't tell me that a motherfucker that you know from around the way, that you know that's your very blood, that became a huge megastar. And I'm not just talking about a motherfucker that can make a roster that's on a goddamn practice squad. I'm talking about a motherfucker who's a well-known superstar in the league. You can't tell me that a motherfucker don't want to come back and do something for their community, man. You can't. And a lot of times, you know, no, let's get back to the task at hand. Mr. Steven Jackson. Mr. Steven Jackson, what's the end game? What are we fighting for? This very shit that we talking about here is a goddamn distraction. Just want to talk about distractions.
None of these white owners have spoken up. None of them are taking a stand. Yeah,
Why should they take a stand? Why should they take a stand? This isn't their struggle. Their people are not getting so-called shot down in the street. What do you expect them to do about it? Huh? What do you expect them to do about it? See, this is the problem with our people. We're always looking for some fucking handout, some approval from goddamn white daddy. We can't come together. Now, if you really wanted some shit to happen, if you really want some shit to go down, you remove ourselves from this fucking economy. Every single so-called black player in all these leagues, whether it's Major League Baseball, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the NFL, soccer, hockey, all that shit. If y'all really wanted to let some shit shake, all you motherfuckers should walk and start your own leagues. All of you. But you're afraid. You're afraid. You're addicted to that limelight. You're addicted to that dollar. You'll do anything. You'll sacrifice your own goddamn mama for that dollar. And you sitting here telling me that you actually give a damn, talking about some, what are these white owners, all they doing is sitting back getting rich? When are they going to make a stand? You can't expect them to make a stand. It's a fucking joke right here, man.
Post a video when the season start, saying what we should do, but they ain't doing nothing. Playing basketball ain't gonna do nothing but make them money and take the attention of what we fighting for, what we marching for. It's bigger than all of us, and it's bigger than the game. And I'm just sad that we still got to explain that to people, bro.
What are you marching for? What are you marching for? Now, this has always been my thing about marching and protesting. That's nothing but sitting on your knees begging with your hand out. That's all that shit is. It's a glorified beg for a handout when you fucking march. When I see a motherfucker marching, when I see these protests, it reminds me of those bums on the corner of the fucking liquor store panhandling for change. Because that's exactly what you're doing. Panhandling for change.
Patrick Beverly of the Clippers sees it differently. He tweeted, "Hoopers, say what you want. If King James says he's hooping, we're all hooping, not personal only business. Hashtag stay woke." Adrian Wojnarowski has a lengthy piece.
In other words, fuck what you talking. I'm trying to get back to that bag.
On ESPN.com with the very latest on this. He joined us earlier this morning.
You know, the players have taken this weekend to talk about how they can use that platform that is going to be available to the league with the restart, with the eyes of the world through television, and using that to continue the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, our sense is that most players want to play, want to resume the season, but certainly an overwhelming amount want to make sure that the league, the Players Association work together to further this cause.
Okay, you can't expect the league or the fucking association, the fucking owners, the fucking you can't expect them to do anything for the fucking cause because it's not their cause. That's what we get for one that had a goddamn white man so involved in our own liberation. Are you kidding me? If you motherfuckers really want to change in this country, stop working, stop entertaining, stop spending. I wouldn't spend $1 on another white business, on another Chinese business, on another Arab business. If every single so-called black person, and I don't give a fuck about no white allies. We don't have no allies in the struggle because our allies wasn't in slavery with us getting our fucking backs caved in. Okay? If you really want some shit to shake in this country, stop spending that dollar. Because they know they can get anything. They can get anybody to say anything. They can get these celebrities, they can get these athletes, they can get these politicians and religious leaders to sell out your people for a fucking dime and a donut. Okay? Stop spending that mighty dollar on their ass. If you motherfuckers really want to change, strap up and go to war. Stop sitting there on your knees begging daddy for a change.
A-World is back with us this morning, and Stephen A. Smith has returned from a little time off. And Steve, it's great to see you. I will start with you. What is your reaction to what Kyrie and Dwight Howard and several other NBA players have said, suggesting that they should not return and resume the season?
I completely disagree with them, and I think they sound foolish. Let's get this out of the way right now. I've been waiting to talk about this, and I can't wait to get into this more heavily on First Take. I respect the fact that obviously everything's going on. You can't be a black man and not respect what we're seeing, particularly from these young warriors out here taking to the streets and making sure that they do everything that they can to raise awareness to what's going on and bring attention to it. But the real work is going to be done by other people within the legal profession and beyond after the awareness is brought to their attention and you buffer them with the level of support monetarily and otherwise that they may require. Your Kyrie.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that Stephen A. Smith is probably one of the biggest sellouts in the fucking media and whatever the fuck you want to call it. Stephen A. Smith is probably one of the biggest sellouts that there is. Okay. Now, I've watched this brother for years. Can't ignore it because his face is blasted all over the goddamn TV. It's blasted all over goddamn YouTube. Okay? You know, this guy's clearly, as far as wanting to see a true change and true liberation for black people, you know what I mean? He makes a statement saying that this service should be in the hands of legal professionals and all of that bullshit. No. If a motherfucker wants true liberation for black people, everybody should have a hand in it. What I mean by everybody, I mean the fucking melanated brothers and sisters spread throughout the four quarters of the earth. Because us so-called blacks in America, we're not the only ones getting our heads kicked in. Black people in every goddamn continent, all over the world, are suffering, man. Black people all over the world are at the bottom of society, the fucking scum of the earth. Nobody respects us because of motherfuckers like this. Because of motherfuckers like this. That's more focused on a fucking getting that bag. And you gotta understand that. You know, like I said earlier, that all of this shit, and I've said this in previous videos, that most of this shit that we see on TV, not most of it, 99.9% of this shit is scripted, is fake. Okay? The NBA has to have certain things like this because there's no games being played right now. They have to keep people interested, so they come up with these fabricated stories. And of course, the people who own ESPN, which is Disney, okay, the powers that be, if you control the media, you control the people. Okay? They have these storylines that they have to push. There has to be one side against the other. You know what I mean? So that's how that fucking thing goes.
Irvin, and you're Dwight Howard. If you are talking about not going back to work because of the coronavirus, nothing to talk about. Everybody has the right to feel the way that they feel in terms of their own individual health, the health of their loved ones who they're going to be near, all of that stuff. That is a separate subject. But to sit up there and imply that at this particular moment in time that sports should not exist and we shouldn't be going back to work because of racial inequality, prejudice, police brutality, etc., these are things that have been going on for decades, if not more. Some would say centuries, obviously, when we're talking about racial oppression. So if that's the case, then there was no reason for anybody, whether it's your forefathers, your ancestors, or anybody in between, to ever show up to work. The reality...
Okay, that's probably the most ignorant statement that I've ever heard, man. This guy, Stephen A. Smith, just rambles words off the side of his ass. Makes a few words fit together and try to make bullshit make sense. So basically, he's saying that Black people have been oppressed in this country for decades, for generations. And just because Black people are being oppressed in this country doesn't mean that you have to show up for work. So basically, the message that he's putting out, according to Mr. Stephen A. Smith right here, renowned analyst, basically what he's saying is keep getting kicked up and keep getting your ass kicked. Keep being oppressed. Stay down. Stay low. Just like the Bible says that you motherfuckers love so much. Slaves, be subject to your masters.
Is that you have a job to do. If you're Kyrie Irving, you're hurt, you're sitting out anyway in all likelihood. You're Dwight Howard, you want to pass up the opportunity to win a championship for the first time because you want to bring attention and awareness to this? Fine. I don't recall Adam Silver, the commissioner of the National Basketball Association, or anybody in the world of sports at this particular moment in time prohibiting or trying to deny or stop players from putting forth their due diligence to bring attention to the issues that have ravaged our society and has been ravaging our society. So to use that as an excuse not to show up to work, and I don't mean excuse as if they're looking for an excuse. I'm sure that their feelings are sincere and heartfelt. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that's no reason not to show up to work. The fact that racial oppression has existed, it's going to exist after this summer. It's going to exist next year. It's going to exist a year after, a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Anybody in our society that thinks this thing is going to be completely eradicated is fooling themselves. You're always going to have to deal with these things. So that is not an excuse not to show up to work, to do your job.
That makes no fucking sense, man. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. Number one, the players want the fucking owners to bring some kind of awareness to the struggle, which doesn't make any fucking sense. The owners haven't made any statements or said anything because I don't expect them to. Okay. Number one, it's not their struggle. Number two, they're more concerned about their bottom line and their pockets. Okay. And that's business. Like the great Legendary Hall of Famer Leon Muhammad says, it's nothing personal. It's always business. Shout out to brother Leon Muhammad. So you can't expect these motherfucking owners and commissioners and all of this bullshit to come out and say something or bring some kind of awareness. What do you expect them to do? What do you expect them to say? What do you expect them to do? Huh? They don't give a fuck about black people. Get the fuck out of here, man.
You can fight the fight while still showing up to work. And that's why I think that Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard are a bit ill-informed here, not to mention the fact that...
In other words, be a good old slave, nigga.
If you don't show back up to work, excuse me, you're not just
losing
good
money.
Nigga for the owners are going to lose money. As a result, collective bargaining talks are going to reopen. And the money that they lost and the money that they're going to project to have lost and will continue to lose is going to come into the equation, which means it's going to have a residual impact, not just on the players, but all the hundreds of thousands of employees that the leagues themselves employ, assuming all the leagues took a similar position to what Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard are proclaiming should be.
First of all, he just rambled around for the last 5 minutes. He had absolutely nothing to say, but that's it on this, man. In conclusion, I like to end with this. So-called black people in this country, we need to stop letting these bullshit propaganda stories and movements determine how should I say this? We shouldn't let this bullshit control us, man. These fake movements, these fake organizations, these fake stories, these fake leagues, this fake entertainment, these fake athletes. Because at the end of the day, they're just reading scripts, doing their role, getting you all riled up and worried, man. This shit is comical, man. So peace and blessings to all my brothers and sisters, man.